Hey everybody, my name's Jeremy and thanks for watching. Today I want to talk to you about my 3 laws of communication, right? The law of communication. When we were kids and somebody was saying something that we didn't want to hear or we didn't like, we would often plug our ears and go la 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 la, right? Because we were trying to tune them out and we didn't want to hear what they had to say. We did this by blocking what they were saying and trying to speak louder, right? So we wouldn't hear what they were saying. And now as adults and even as a culture, I think we are doing the same thing, except maybe our method has changed. But what we're doing is really what we were doing as kids, right? Where if someone's saying something that we don't like or that we don't agree with or that we don't want to hear, we shut them down, we block them out, and we tune them out, right? You're not allowed to talk like that, and we take their ability to talk away. We also make our voices louder because the louder that we get, the more important we feel, right? And the more important that it seems that our ideas are. The loudest voice wins type thing. And this is not healthy communication because when we end up doing this, we act, or at least seem like we did when we were kids. It's a very childish thing to say, I don't agree with you, so you're not allowed to talk, and I'm right, so everyone listen to me. And not only is that arrogant, but it's also just not good communication. It's not healthy. So what I propose, and this isn't a hard and fast rule, but I like to come up with fun little tricks to help remember just positive things to incorporate into our life. So mine are taking that when we used to block out and go la 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 la, right? Trying to incorporate that into a more positive way. So la la la, right? The first one is to listen attentively. When we are talking to someone, the first thing that we need to do is just listen to them. They have thoughts, they have passions, they have desires, dreams, goals, you name it, and we need to listen, but not just sit in front of them and hear what they're saying, but really listen attentively. We need to make sure that they know that our focus is on them, right? We need to show that we are caring about what they're saying. It may be so far off and it may not be anything that we agree with, but we need to still listen in a way that shows that person understands, we care about what they're saying, and we have a desire to hear them and truly, truly hear them. From there, we move on to the second LA, which is learn and ask. All right, so if we're listening attentively, we should be understanding what they're saying. We should be learning about what their views are and why they have their views. And then if we don't understand something, ask questions. Most people, given the opportunity, would love to tell you about themselves and why they are the way they are. And so what you have to do sometimes is ask questions and probe a little bit because you care, right? That's the whole point of communication, is getting to know what someone else is about, what makes them them. And so we are trying to not only listen to what they're saying, but we want to learn, and if we don't understand something, ask. And then the final LA, the final law, if you will, is love abundantly. We can still love someone even if we totally disagree with them. Why? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you live or really who or what you are, you should, I guess what? We're people. Right? We're human beings. And so there's a lot of things that make us different from one another. Even within my own family, there's differences on what we like to eat and what we like to do for fun and what we like to watch and what we like to listen to. We have differences, but we're able to come together and still love each other. And I'm not saying that you need to love everyone in this world like you do your family, because I think there's different types of love that we have. We have love as if we love art or pizza or cars, and then we have love like we love our neighbor, and then we have love for family and people who are very intimate with us. And so I don't think we need to go out and treat everyone with this deep, passionate love, but we should have respect for one another. We should have at least this human decency to say, you know what, despite everything that you are a human being, and there is some sort of love there. And abundantly, we all get things wrong. We all misinterpret things. We accuse people wrongly. We make mistakes. And so that love, I believe, needs to cover that. It's not easy to do any of these steps. But I believe if you start with that beginning and you listen attentively, it leads to wanting to know more and learn and asking questions. And when you get down to someone and why they believe they do and act the way they do, I think a natural overflowing will be this love of abundantly, because you're not looking them at their ideas, you're looking at them as a person, and you get to know them and connect with them on a deeper level than if you would just assume who they are based on their talking points. So those are my 3 LaLaLas of communication. Not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but I believe they are worth putting into practice. From Scripture, we see in the book of James, that we should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. All right? Because if we're not quick to listen, then we usually overpower someone with our talk, and that leads to anger. Right? There's a connection there, so we need to be quick to listen. Jesus, when he was 12, he gets separated from his parents, and after 3 days they find him, and he's in the temple, and everyone's amazed at him listening and asking questions. At 12 years old, he's able to do this. And then when he grows up to be a man, he shares this story about how he says we should love our neighbor, and someone says, well, who's our neighbor then? And he gives this wonderful parable about the Good Samaritan, and about how the Samaritan, who should have no business being around a Jew, and there's 2 other religious people who walk by this beaten up man, and finally the Samaritan comes and he takes care of him, and he pays for his health care, and he does all this because he saw past Samaritan and Jew. He looked past culture, he looked past beliefs and ideals, and he saw him as a person. And this is the story of the Good Samaritan, that everyone we come in contact with, everyone we're around, is our neighbor, and we should love our neighbors as ourselves. There's also a really cool story that I really like it's not as popular, but it's in the book of Acts. Paul is traveling around, and he ends up in Athens, and he's walking around, and I'm just going to kind of pop some verses in here and fill in the rest with summary. It says, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So here he's in this land, and he's looking around, and he is not happy with what he's seeing. He's disagreeing with the way that they are living their life. Well, what does he do? He shuts them down. No, not at all. He doesn't do that at all. He goes and he reasons with them, and he goes to the synagogue to meet with the Jews and the God-fearing Greeks, and then he goes out to the marketplace to reach everyone else. He doesn't shut them down. He doesn't say you're wrong. He goes out and he reasons with them, and he talks to them. And some of the philosophers began to dispute with him, and they asked him questions, and they were saying, what is this teaching, and what are you doing? They were asking questions. They weren't happy with him, but they were asking about it. And so they bring him aside and they say, please share with us these ideas. And then he walks in and he goes, O men of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For I have walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship. I even found an altar with the inscription, to an unknown God. And what I love about that is that he's in this land. He's seeing things that he's not happy with, all these idols that go totally against his belief. but he's walking around looking carefully. He's observing the way they do it. He's learning about them and how they live their life and what their beliefs are. And from there, he launches onto this full story of the gospel. And he's talking about this unknown God that you are worshiping. I'm going to tell you who he is. And so he shares this gospel. And that, to me, shows his love for these people. They disagreed with him. He disagreed with them. Or they disagreed with him and he disagreed with them. And yet still, they were asking questions. He's trying to understand them. And it leads to this desire to share the gospel with them. And that shows his love for these people of Athens. And even at the end, I love this. While some sneered, but others said, we want to hear again on this subject. Not everyone liked what Paul had to say. And some said, hey, this is kind of interesting. We want to know more about it, right? They were showing that they cared, and they were asking questions, and they were being involved. And so it's not a point for point, but it's a really neat story of how Paul and the Athens were able to come together, listen, ask questions, learn, and ultimately love one another, even if they weren't intimate or, close together as friends. The end of that passage, it does say that a few men became followers of Paul and believed him, and so that grew this relationship. So those are my 3 laws. It's hard, but next time you see someone go la 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 la, or you hear someone trying to shut a voice down, just remember that we should try to listen attentively, learn and ask, and love abundantly. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And if you want to put any comments, share it to anyone who you think might benefit from this. And as always, stay positive and encouraging. I'll talk to you later.